So for the final project of CS411, we have this website that is dedicated for the game War of Warships. Let's click into warship infos and we can see it has different numbers here. You can search different ships and get different type of data out. You do not have to remember the whole name of the ships. You can just type some of it and it gets it out for you. This ships here you can see it only have XG shells under this main gun shells card, and it doesn't have the torpedoes card. While when we search for another ship here, Shimakaze here, it have XG shells, AP shells, and torpedo shells. And so basically here is that there are so many different type of ships in the game, and we have to find a way to display only the useful part and discard the useless part. Midway here is an aircraft carrier, so it doesn't have guns, it has different planes. So we only display the planes instead of the guns, like the Missouri in this case. It has two different types of shell instead of the aircraft. And let's do some basic function here. Here is the delete ships functions. You can delete the ship by its ID. And when we refresh the page, you can see here the Missouri is gone. You cannot find the ship anymore. While we can add it back and just type in the same ship ID here. And when we search back the Missouri, as you can see, it shows up again. So this is the basic function of the ship. And the other one is the player statistics. For this part here, we shows different players statistic and by different tabs. So the first tab is player summary. You can see all kinds of different data here, including this graph. This graph, you can play around with it, and this is based on the how the player performed in the entire database. It's basically assumed that the distribution of the scores here are normally distributed, and you can calculate the D-score and display it here. And this survival, kills, objective, damage, and wins are the 5 dimensions of the D-scores, and they sum up into the personal ratings. And in the behavioral analysis tab, we have the player ships grouped by different nations, grouped by different types, and different ship lines. As you can see, you can also play around with this graph. You can filter out some part of it to make it look better. And this is by ship line part. You can also sort it by the number of battles, survival rates, and so on to get the player's best performed ships. And the final tab is the all ship statistics. As you can see here, we can filter out a lot of ships because for this player, it has 10 pages of ships. So it's very useful to add in the filter functions. You can filter out the tiers. That you can see there's all tier 10 ships here, tier 9s and tier 8s. And you can also do it for the types. Let's say we do type destroyer. You have all tier 8 destroyer here, tier 8 carrier, and you can also add on the nations. In this case, we have 2 tier 8 aircraft carrier for USA, and you can also add on the name to make it only one, the one that you want. And the other one is we add in the comparison functions. This one you can type in the different players' names, and then when you click to add to the comparison, it automatically records the name for you. And let's add some different players and compare them in the pop-up windows. This is the last one. And we shows the comparison result here. We click it, and as you can see, this detailed comparison for each person. And the SAM graph, the radar graph, also found down there, as well as the cluster column graph on the lower right. You can sort the player by its rating, battles, win rate, and so on to see which player is the best on the respective field. This graph, you can also play with this graph by filtering out some lines so that you can see better. And the column graph also have the filter functions, and you can click reset to reset all the players. So now you don't have anything. It's basically empty here once you click reset. So another one is the basic functions here for the player, including the insertion and deletions. As you can see, we want to delete this player here, so we copy down the account ID and we show down to the delete player and we paste in and hit confirm. So when we refresh the page, this person does not exist anymore. Well, we want to add a new player in. So in this case, we just put back the user ID and we hit confirm. It loads for quite a while because you have to fetch all the API status. And then now here it shows up again, including its behavior analysis and the shifts. Well, the third part is this really not finished advanced functions. It used to be our advanced function. It's a main battery simulators, but as you can see, it's half done because it is really difficult to implement the whole things. So we decided to switch our advanced function to something else. And this is our demo for the project.